going on, everybody? So for today's video, I wanted to kind of do a different approach and different take on it. Do a kind of a teaching and training video, if you will, for all the folks that are in the sales industry. So with this video, I really want to create value to help you level up on the sales playing field. So in order to be good at sales, you need to have many things going for you. You need to be good at many things, from building trust, building rapport, product knowledge. I mean, the list goes on. But in my personal opinion, what separates an extremely amazing salesperson with an average one is the ability to handle objections. Now, we all know, if you've been in the sales industry, objections happen frequently and they don't stop. We would love it if we could go from point A to point Z without one objection, without one bump in the road, without any resistance. However, we know that doesn't happen. Now, speaking of objections, what is the best way to handle an objection? The best way to handle an objection is before it comes up. So ideally, you want to have a presentation so clean, so tight, that they can't give you an objection. You've answered all questions, shut everything down, but that doesn't always happen. So sometimes you have to handle an objection after the fact. And the objection I want to talk about today is one of the most common objections that come up in the sales industry. It doesn't matter if you're selling real estate, you're selling cars, you're selling insurance, you're selling software, you're selling medical devices, doesn't matter. The objection I want to talk about today is when people say, I need to think about it. When someone says they need to think about it, they're really saying, I'm not sold. There is something with what you've told me that I'm not comfortable with. It could be the price, it could be the terms of the contract, it could be they don't think they're going to use the product. Whatever it may be, those are the reasons, and not I need to think about it. You don't want to accept I want to think about it, because it's not the truth. You want to uncover why they need to think about it, because you're not going to get the ball across to the end zone if you don't figure out why. Now, the one thing I do want to say is, do not make the mistake like most folks do and respond, I need to think about it, with, well, what is it you need to think about? That is a terrible way to approach this objection. Reason being is, when you respond, you're actually giving life to the BS they're telling you. You're breathing air into the lungs of that and giving it legs and helping it stand up. And that's the last thing you want to do. We know that is a 1,000% smokescreen when they say they need to think about it. And by you responding in that way, it's just furthering their narrative and you're feeding into it. There's a couple things I wanted to touch upon that you can do in order to move forward and find out the truth, because you can't do anything until you find out the real reason of why they need to think about it. First step number one, you need to agree with them. Always agree with the prospect or the member. If you disagree, you're going like this and butting heads, and you don't want to butt heads. If you agree, you become more like that person. And if you're more like that person is more likely to trust and like you. Psychologically, we as humans, we don't trust things that are different than us. So by agreeing, you're making yourself more like them. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I really appreciate your time, Andrew, but I need to go home. I need to think about it. You know what? I totally get it, Jim. Totally get it. I completely understand how you feel. You see how I just leveled up with them? Instead of butting heads, I went the same direction as the person. That's what you want to do. Now, after you agree with them, you want to use the feel, felt, and found technique. I'll show you what I mean by that. Now, you want to understand how they feel. That's very important, because nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So you want to understand how they feel. You want to make it known that you've dealt with folks that have felt the same way. By doing this, you have found that this is the main reason why. So let me show you what I mean by that. And this is going to help us uncover what they need to think about. What's the real reason? So it goes like this. Thanks for your time, Andrew. I appreciate it. But, I'm going to go home. I just need to think about it. I totally get it, Jim. Totally understand how you feel. Over the years, I've actually spoke with a lot of folks that have actually felt the exact same way as you do. But in my years in doing this, what I've found is that when people say they need to think about it, it really means one of two things. It's either A, bam, throw a reason out there that you come across in your sales industry, and then give them, bam, another one. B, another example that you come across. It could be whatever you need it to be, and make them choose one of the two. Let me show you in full form of how I would do it. So, hey, Jim, Andrew, I just need to think about it. Jim, I totally get it. Totally understand how you feel. I mean, it's very common. I've been speaking with over these years with folks that have actually felt the same way with you initially. But in my years in doing this, what I've found is that when people say they need to think about it, it really means one of two things. It's either A, they're scared of change. We're all creatures of habit and we don't like change because it's uncomfortable. Or it's B, you didn't understand some of the bits of information that I went over and it left you a little bit confused. Out of these two, which one of these would it be, Jim, or is it both? Bam, you've got them right where you need them to be, because now they are forced to look at the options you've given them and see if either A, they're going to agree with you and pick one or the other, or if they don't, they're going to actually tell you the real reason as to why they need to think about it, and you've won already. So by putting these out, by using those key phrases, by leveling the playing field, you're not just on the offense of attacking. You're bringing them down where they need to be feel comfortable to be able to tell you what the problem is. And once you know what the problem is, you're able to address it accordingly and figure out how you can move forward. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Did something a little bit different today. I hope this gave you some value, adds to your sales arsenal. I hope I gave you some tools, new tools in your tool belt to sharpen up, and I hope you can use the I agree and I understand, the feel, felt, and found. Give those options, and I hope you're able to crush that objective when you come across that.